It's caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the.
What's up, guys? Lance the Obscure Movie Guy coming to you once again with another fun-filled, fact-filled video that you probably won't care about, but we're going to do it anyways, trying to change the world one post at a time. And if you guys have been following me, which you should be, then you will have undoubtedly heard me talk about at least a time or two Acrostar Films, as I've reviewed their movies in the past, and we're going to do it again today, just in time for Thanksgiving. Now, if you've been following me, you've heard me talk about Acrostars. We did Desperate Souls, we did They Came From Somewhere, and today we're going to do it just in time for Thanksgiving, Attack of the Corn Zombies. And I'm a sucker for a good zombie film. So let's dive in, let's take a look and find out what Corn Zombies is all about.
This goes out to all the groovy people at the Nest Corn Festival who were just chilling out and enjoying some of the best corn in the Midwest. DJ Smoke and Dan will be heading your way right after the show.
You kids didn't go to the festival, so you missed out on Bob's special ingredient that he added to the corn this year.
What are you staring at, you freak? Why do you even come to these parties if you're gonna act like a bitch?
Who else is to blame, Mom? I've seen the way you treat Dad. If I was him, I'd be gone just as much.
Don't you talk to me that way!
Bob was hoping that new fertilizer would help us get the corn on the market faster. We went over to see if we could help him, and he lunged at me. He started biting me.
So it seems like people are coming back from the dead, murdering others, and also going missing, apparently. So that's cool.
Yeah, do the dead people look like that?
It's the festival. Almost everyone in town went, and they're all infected, and the ones who didn't go are about to be.
You almost got us killed back there!
Now, if you're not familiar with Acrostar, like I said, I've done movie reviews for them before. Desperate Souls, They Came From Somewhere. They've also got stuff available. Trepidipity is another one. All independent films, basically crowd-funded. All available to watch. Amazon Prime, Tubi. In fact, you can catch They Came From Somewhere on Amazon Prime along with Trepidipity. And Desperate Souls, I believe, is available on Tubi right now. So... And Attack of the Corn Zombies is following suit along with everything else that they've done. But Acrostar, man, they've been cranking out some good stuff here lately, and they got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline that I'm excited to talk about. But before we get into that, let's talk about Attack of the Corn Zombies and how awesome this movie was. From an independent film standpoint, I always tell people that it's easy to be cynical about independent films because they're not big budgeted, so the producers and directors need to make the most of what they got, and they did a fantastic job with this one. Now, I always say that they do a good job because they do, but Acrostar, this was the first film that I've watched from Acrostar that I really feel like this is their best work. I really do. This is one that came together and everything just gelled. The chemistry on set, behind the scenes, the special effects, the production, the cinematography, everything is exceptionally well done on Attack of the Corn Zombies. Now, you might be thinking, what a ridiculous concept for zombies to, you know, people eat infected corn and people turn into zombies, and you might think that's a ridiculous premise. However, I will remind you that I did a review for Cooties, which was starred Elijah Wood and Rainn Wilson, about children that got turned into zombies from eating infected chicken nuggets. And that movie was hilarious because the children were zombies. It's just funny. You should definitely check that one out. However, same premise applies. Infected corn, turns the townsfolk into zombies. If you didn't eat the corn, you didn't turn into a zombie. But I like the concept that this takes place in the 60s. Again, everything came together really well with this film. The cinematography was great. The costumes, the special effects, the makeup was really well done for a zombie flick, especially an independent one that's very low budget in comparison to stuff like The Walking Dead or Train to Busan or even Z Nation, if you will. And I also like the fact that this was extremely well written by Steve Herman, who also directed it, along with Ann Marina, who was one of the producers. And you've heard me talk about Steve and Ann before. They're basically the two, head honchos over there at Acrostar Films. But really well written. The way the movie opens and the way the movie closes is very similar fashion regarding a newscaster talking about, in the beginning he's talking about the Corn Festival, and at the end he's talking about how the town has been quarantined off. So I really like how it starts and ends kind of in the same way. It was really well done. But there's a lot of things to talk about this. And I don't even know where to start because they did such a fantastic job. But the cast was amazing. So if you follow Acrostar, again, which you should, you'll notice some familiar faces. From Desperate Souls, we had Joe Rosing. He had a small part in this. It Came From Somewhere. Beth Metcalf is in this. Paige Bourne, Magdalena Conway, Jake Yanko. These are guys and gals that have all been kind of involved in previous projects with them. But this time, Acrostar was able to get Lynn Lowry to be in the film for a small part as well. And if anybody's familiar with her, she's got a huge horror background as far as B-movie horror stuff, going all the way back to the 70s. She starred in the original 1973 version of The Crazies, and then had a cameo in the 2010 version. But if you look at her IMDb page, it's all basically just horror stuff, and that's what she specializes in. So a name that carries a little bit of gravitas in the horror world with Lynn Lowry, and she wanted to do the project with Acrostar. So that goes to show how well Acrostar has been coming along when you get somebody like that in the horror world. You might not be familiar with her from a Hollywood standpoint or celebrity standpoint, but big name in the horror world, and wanted to be a part of this project with Acrostar. And again, her part was fairly small, but still powerful. And again, a name like that carries a little bit of gravitas and adds validity to what Acrostar does. So good on them for that. And again, the acting was exceptional by everyone involved. Again, this film, everything came together really, really well. I got to give a shout out to a couple people here. So Jake Yanko, he's been... They came from somewhere, and they came back from somewhere, which is another one that's being released here relatively soon. But Jake Yanko, I think, not only did he look the part really well, but I think he felt the most comfortable doing this character in this movie this time. Everybody seemed really relaxed, given the nature of the movie and what was going on, but they just seemed like they were all having a really good time. So Jake Yanko did a fantastic job. Mia Katz, man, she was top-notch in this film. And again, not everybody's parts were huge, but everybody that had a little bit of screen time, they made the most of their screen time. And Mia Katz has a couple of really good emotional scenes. Spoiler alert, one where her mother dies, where she figures out what's causing the zombies to turn. That was a really good scene, really well done by her. Again, Jake Yanko did a good job. Beth Metcalf, always a solid player in everything that she does. And Beth is just... man, she does it all. She does it all in real life. She sings, she dances, she acts, she did the makeup for the movie. I mean, if she does everything. She can probably weld for all I know. She does it all. So, I mean, another solid performance by her. And then I do want to give a shout out. I kind of overlooked Magdalena Conway in Desperate Souls, and I kind of feel bad about it because I really shouldn't have. She was really, really good in Desperate Souls. And she did an amazing job in this film. And I think what I like about her in this film is that her character probably has the best story arc, basically going from pothead to survivalist. So her character has the best story arc I think, throughout the course of the film, and she portrays it very well as a slight progression, but kind of comes to terms with where she was, where she's going as far as that character goes. So really, really well done. A couple of key scenes that were very good. Like I said, Mia Katz had one where her mother dies. Lynn Lowry had one talking about her husband in the beginning of the film, who's the one that came up with the secret ingredient for the corn. And Beth Metcalf, she had a really interesting subplot storyline with her character's mother, which kind of goes unresolved, which I really enjoyed, because there's a lot of subplots in this movie that they don't necessarily get any type of closure or resolution. And I think that was probably done on purpose, because let's face it, if there's a zombie apocalypse and the feces hits the oscillating device, that shit hits the fan for you people without a thesaurus. But when the shit hits the fan at the end of the world, there's going to be a lot of unresolved issues for us in the real world. And that comes through in this movie. A lot of characters, like I said, had a lot of issues with other characters that go unresolved. There's no closure. Some people die, some people live, and they're just going to have to learn to deal with that. I also like the fact that the way that the movie ended, it doesn't necessarily end as again, there's no type of resolution as to the infestation of zombies in this little Midwestern town. So it does leave the possibility, and it leaves it open to interpretation, but there could be a sequel down the pipeline where they'll try to maybe explain a little bit of more in depth as to how it happened, what happened, and where it's going. So I also like that. But realistically, everything in this film was top-notch as far as I'm concerned. This is like I said, this is the first film from Acrostar where I really feel like everything came together in perfect cohesion. Not that they don't make good films, because everything that they've done has been very solid up to this point. I haven't seen anything bad from Acrostar, but this was the first one where I really felt everything just gelled together perfectly, and it came across great. Like, if you watch this, you're not going to feel like you're watching an independent film. You're not going to feel like you're watching something that was crowdfunded through Indiegogo. It's just, if I had to compare it to anything, this would be like if anybody's familiar with Boondock Saints, yeah, it's an independent film. It was written by Troy Duffy, no name. You had some actors in there. At the time, Sean Patrick Flanery and Norman Reedus. Sean Patrick Flanery was probably the most well-known, maybe with the exception of Billy Connolly. I'm getting a little off track here. But my point is that Boondock Saints was a really good movie that never necessarily had a big budget, didn't get a theatrical release, was pretty unknown, and flew under the radar for quite some time until it became this cult classic. And I kind of feel like Attack of the Corn Zombies kind of has that same type of filmography with it. It kind of feels like it's going to fly under the radar. People are going to watch it eventually and be like, man, this was actually pretty good. I hope they do another one. And then with the sequel, they'll get the better recognition, the more money, the bigger budget, and be able to do different things. But this was really the first film where I didn't feel like I was watching something, for the lack of a better term, and I don't want to use this term, but I use it very loosely, but it doesn't feel like it's done by amateurs. And that's not to say that these people are amateurs in any regard. I just have a very limited vocabulary. I myself need a thesaurus. So that's not a knock against them. They punch well above their weight in this movie, as they do with most of their stuff. But again, this one really just, the cohesiveness between everybody, you can feel it come through in the film, and the way it's made and the way it was produced. And all around great job. And again, Beth Metcalf came through great. I loved her subplot with her mother. Magdalena Conway, I feel bad I didn't talk about her before in Desperate Souls, because she did a really solid job in that, and she does an even better job in this one. Jake Yanko, my man, looks the part, acts the part, looks great doing it. He was probably the most comfortable he's been on screen that I've seen. And then you have, you know, Mia Katz. Man, there's a diamond in the rough right there, I'm telling you. She can be a player in some major productions, no doubt. So if you're into independent films, you should definitely check out Acrostar Films. You should definitely check out this film. If you're into zombie flicks like me, I don't necessarily do horror, but I love a good zombie movie, and this is a really good one. I mean, I had a great time watching it. I would put it on par with Z Nation, definitely. And I love how that there's a few things that when you're watching the film, you can kind of pick out, like, I've seen that before in The Walking Dead, or I saw that before in, you know, Night of the Living Dead, and things like that. And, you know, when it comes to zombies, most of the mythology behind zombies probably plays the same throughout most films. So it's not like they're ripping somebody off. It's not like they ripped an idea off of The Walking Dead. It wasn't necessarily an original idea to begin with. Most of the mythology throughout cinema history with zombies is all kind of the same. You know, it's the undead. You got to hit them in the head or shoot them in the face or whatever the case may be. And something always seems to turn them to begin with. So, again, fantastic job from everybody over there. Steve Herman did an amazing job writing it and directing it. And Marina is always a consummate professional with the production of value and everything that she does behind the scenes, not as well as being on screen. So, and there's a couple of good, like I said, the subplots in this, there's like 3 or 4 subplots that like really like, you're like, man, I wonder what's going to happen with that. And then you're like, oh, that bitch is dead. I guess we'll never know because that bitch is dead, you know? And then you've got the one, like, I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but you're like, man, that chick should die. And then this other chick dies, and you're like, oh, she was the actual bitch, not her. She deserved what she got. She doesn't. So, it's good stuff. There's a couple of little twists and turns along the way, but it's good stuff. I liked where it left off. I'm hoping it leads into another, a sequel that they're going to do. But they've got other stuff coming down the pipeline. They're going to be doing They Came Back From Somewhere, which is a sequel to It Came From Somewhere. And they've also just announced that they're going to be doing Sorority Babes, which is going to be like a slumber party massacre type film that I'm really excited to watch. Hoping production goes well on that as well. So once again, to everybody at Acrostar Films, I thank you for letting me get an early look at this film. It's not out yet. They did do a midnight showing on October 31st. I got to watch it before that as well. So it's getting ready to be released. You should definitely check it out when it comes out. Go over to acrostarfilms.com and check them out. You can also go to Indie Horror Acrostar Films on Facebook and look them up and keep up with all the news and notes that's going on with the future productions. Go to Indiegogo if you want to try and look them up there and get behind the scenes access to what they're doing and fund some of their projects as well. And I will see you guys in the next one. I really enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoy it as well. Please check it out. Like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Check me out on Facebook. Share the video with your friends and family. And I will see you all in the next one.